The Wildstorm #1, written by Warren Ellis, art by John Davis Hunt, and colors by Ivan Placencia. So I'm going to skip over the recap for this issue because frankly, it's an issue that loses so much in just going, Zealot calls the cleanup crew after she does her thing, Engineer saves the Steve Jobs equivalent who's actually Lord Emp in standard Wildstorm, a Wetworks guy gets his butt chewed out for failing to kill the Steve Jobsian dude. It's a fantastic read that you should check out now, end of story. Now, the Wildstorm universe gets another reboot with The Wildstorm, which is the flagship book for the rest of the universe. It should annoy me because this is the 20-somethingth time that the Wildstorm universe has gotten an overhaul or drastic change in direction, but I freaking love this. I've never hidden the fact that Warren Ellis is probably my favorite comic book writer of all time ever, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but this introduces the new concepts behind Zealot or Engineer Voodoo brilliantly. A huge problem I had with the new 52 versions of the Wildstorm characters was that they tried to make them kind of just another DC character, which they never have been. So boiling them down and reworking them into their own universe allows for them to not necessarily maintain their own identities, but be unique characters you want to follow. It's a hard thing to explain for the most part because if you've never seen the Wildstorm group outside of the DC universe, then maybe when Jacob Marlowe says to call in the cats, you won't get that reference, but at the same time, coming in blind, you're going to be receiving a full story introducing this brave new world, these stunning characters, and just overall an awesome imprint starting in an awesome way. There's mystery, there's intrigue, but there's also not so much dangling wires, but rather the first part to a story that's worth checking out. By God, this is going to sound like the most headline-grabbing, newsarama-infused line I say, but this feels like a logical next step in what the Wildstorm universe is. See, the Wildstorm universe has never been the same as DC or Marvel, even when Marvel bought them out. They were always harsher and kind of grim-dark in a realistic light. No one likes saying that nowadays because it's become a marketing term, but this is a realistic take on that. Only instead of reflecting the dark, brooding nature of realism, it's sardonic and cynical. It's a reflection of the current attitudes that resonate really well, I think. But that's enough filleting Ellis's writing for now. The creme de la creme of this isn't the fantastic writing from Ellis, but the art by John David Hunt. This art style sort of confuses my inner fanboy. It's not bad and it's not confusing in an artistic direction, but it confuses me because I love the rougher, not so digital line work. See, it's a proven fact that I prefer slightly rougher end of things, and this has the spirit of what I like about that. The lines are deliberate yet never feel digitally forced. The colors by Placencia aren't bright and poppy, but subtle so that they complement the almost airy art style. Another term that's going to sound fluffy, but the art style is open air. There's a lot of skyscrapers, and even when we do get into a dank room towards the end, it's large, never feels constrictive. And actually I think it makes almost an emptiness that adds to the whole mood of the piece. I truly love it. So if you couldn't tell my verdict from the very beginning, buy it, maybe collect it. Buy it, logically, means you should go out and get it as soon as you can, be it digital or from your local comic shop. I add the caveat to collect it because it's a fantastic book that you should have a copy to read and another copy to collect for future posterity. I also add in that there's so much Wildstorm before this that it wouldn't hurt to look back on them as well to really see the shift in the universe. And that's all for this episode of First Issues Now. If you agree with me that this was a great new launch for the Wildstorm universe, or disagree, thinking that this was a horrible reboot of the franchise, let me know in the comments below. Like the Archivist Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and pledge to us on Patreon for some exclusive content. Check out my other channels, ComicSins, where I lightly poke fun at select comics, and A Comic a Day, where this month is all about the Dark Tower comics with a special guest host. And as always, stay golden, Inklings!